So, welcome back. We are going to continue playing ITYH, but this time, where was my save file? I believe my save file 135? 151. This is the save file. We previously confessed our terror, yes! Previously we confessed our terror and we reached a happy ending. So, let's hope that we don't die, but I'm pretty sure that we will. Terror mixed with anger exploded within me, and I found myself staring him down. Don't make me laugh. At best, I'm a pet you took a liking to. At worst, food. And no amount of kissing, songs, movies, and little favors is going to change that. Struggled up from the ground and sneered. Terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. This is the ending where we don't love him. And guess what? No sane man would bone their pet. You make me sick to my core. The words came out of my mouth in a torrent, and I felt oddly triumphant before what I said started settling in. This is a death flag. It is a death flag for sure. Terror and regret started to drag me back to reality, but I willed myself to keep looking into his empty eye sockets. If I was going to die for my stupidity, I might as well do it with dignity. But then Osgood starts laughing. The sound of wind chimes swing in the air. So the sound of wind chimes is him laughing. And I don't think he's very amused right now. I don't think he's very amused right now. If I am sick, then what are you? Have you ever wondered why no one has ever questioned why you went? Where you went? Not even your little dark-haired friend that you always had by your side. I wondered myself, so I went and did a little investigation. And you know what I found? She went on a trip with her boyfriend. You are missing. And she decides to take a trip with her boyfriend. Isn't that funny? I opened my mouth to tell him to shut up, but no words came out. He kept talking, his voice hauntingly pleasant. And your parents? Where are they? Why haven't they started looking for their child? Then I realized they must be dead, or they must not have cared. Indeed, the teeth are so weird. But what's scarier is that he knows. Shut up. Admit it, Camille. Nobody cares about you. Osgood's right. What's the point? There really is no one waiting for me in this world. Why am I even trying? And he reverts back to human form. I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure you understood. Unlike the others, I care about you. And no matter how many times you lie, hurt me, or run away, I will always forgive you. Would it really be so bad to choose me? Let's go back then. We need to treat your wounds. He grabbed my hand and started leading me away. Even in the summer heat, it felt warm. Red flags. So many red flags. But then I jerked him back toward me, wrapping my arms around his neck to pull him down. Then I bit down on his lips. Oh my god. English Sama is deceased. Then I bit down on his lips with all of my hate. My canines dug into his bottom lip so hard that it drew blood. Questionable grabbing because she only has one arm and one upper arm, but it caught him by surprise, and I took this opportunity to shake off his hand and run for the cliff. My entire body felt light as I leaped off the precipice. As I plummeted down, I could hear him desperately screaming my name. A guttural wailing that was slowly drowned out by the sound of wind whistling past me. She jumped. Imagining his face, I found myself laughing gleefully with triumphant malice. Or maybe I was crying. It doesn't matter. In the end, I won. Or maybe we both lost. The wind was making my face feel dry, and I licked my lips. His blood tastes like syrup. Ending 7. Till death do us apart. And that was the ending we missed out on at the cliff. Since we have cleared ending 8, we have also unlocked ending 9, which, as the game tells us, is to go back, restart the game from the top, and knock on Osgood's door. Let's get started. Let's look at the epilogue. This game contains disturbing images and themes. Opinions of the characters do not represent the author's own values. Would you like to see the trigger warnings? Let's skip. We've already seen them once. Prologue. And we have Osgood. Our scary, yet somehow angelic Osgood. Random hobo. I don't think Osgood is the one speaking when the name hobo is there. It's probably the man who was in his house the first time we went there. It's probably that man. It's probably that man. What are you staring at, kid? If you don't have any change, then get lost. And this unknown is probably Osgood. He's uncomfortable. Zoom in. What? Sucker punched. Sorry. Chapter 1. Dad? Yes, sweetie. Do you love me more? Or do you love Mr. Buchanan more? That's not a fair question, sweetie. I love you and Mr. Buchanan in very different ways. Thus, a comparison isn't fair. So I'm not the most special person to you after all. What's with the pout? Of course you are my most special person. You said the same thing to Mr. Buchanan days ago. You two are both special. We are all family, aren't we? It's nice that Dad can think this way, because one is his daughter and the other one is his significant partner, significant other. But his two special people don't get along. His partner doesn't like his daughter, and his daughter is trying to please his partner but without success. So Dad is kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. And unfortunately, he never did find a good solution even when he died. Don't fret, sweetie. You will find your special someone someday. And when that time comes, you will understand. Let us try the skip button. We can try it. Did Dad say anything about Camille in his last words? No. Because it's never officially confirmed how Dad died, and Mr. Buchanan didn't say anything. There are two scenarios. Firstly, Dad never said anything. So no one was near enough Dad when he died, so no one knows if he said anything. And the second one is Dad did say something, but Buchanan doesn't want to tell Camille because he doesn't like her. He can always not tell her. Let's try the skip button to see if it'll bring us to the next part. Oh, so it's a auto. It's a auto function. It just yeets us through the prologue. Yeets us through chapter 1. And this is the part where Camille sees Osgood and she wants to roll around. No, she wants to try and attract him to go on a date with her. So let's skip a little bit further. This is the first part. This is when Camille goes over to say hi. And Osgood introduces himself. What do you want? We are going to make small talk for a little bit. I haven't seen you around here. Are you new? I've been in this school for more than a month. Really? I must have missed you then. Where was your old school? I patiently waited for him to reply. But he seems to have decided that the conversation was over and resumed playing with his food. I turned up my smile an extra watt. Actually, I just wanted to ask you if you wanted to come over and sit with my friend and I. No. And we get rejected. Yay! We wish to. I believe we have to go to the part where we knock on his door, so let's skip forward just a little bit more. Okay, Ivy stared at me for a while before grabbing my phone away from me. Hey, what are you doing? Deleting the photo so that it won't come back to bite you in the future. So this is the bit where I forced a single blurry photo I have of Osgood under Ivy's eyes. This is the bit where we find out that Camille is a stalker. Yes, yes, she secretly took one photo of him, and it's impossible that he didn't realize. It's just that he was too lazy to do anything about it. Or he felt that he didn't need to do anything about it. I don't think it's possible that he didn't realize. You too know that this is approaching stalker territory, don't you? He could report you to the teacher. True, but I'm a blonde high school girl while he's a hulking guy of 6'4". It's not like the teachers will do anything aside from giving me a verbal warning. In fact, most of them will probably think it's cute. Camille is unrepentant. Besides, if I don't step on his toes a little bit, he'll never notice me. You know how I've never really managed to stay interested in anything for too long. High school is almost over, and I'm still wandering around aimlessly. But Osgood, there's something different about him. I can feel it. Something different like not being human. You know, being a bag of bones. His laugh sounding like wind chimes. Just promise me you won't take any more pictures of him without permission. For the rest of the semester, we are going to skip this bit because this bit is basically just Camille pestering the heck out of Osgood. And now we have reached the point where Camille invited Osgood on a date, and the condition was that if he didn't want anything to do with her after the date, she would leave him be. And so now we are in the cafe. There are a bunch of things we can do, and we are going to kill time while waiting for Osgood. I sent Ivy a selfie of myself in the ice cream store. She didn't respond. Given that she's currently on a 5-hour bus ride to see her boyfriend at college, she probably fell asleep to fight off the motion sickness. We will play a game on our phone. I opened the game I downloaded eons ago and started slowly progressing through the first level. We can order something. Feeling a bit restless, I flipped through the menu and mindlessly pointed at a random item. A few minutes later, a soda float was placed in front of me. 750 calories of deliciousness. And we eavesdrop on the two girls at the corner. I usually could care less about what others are talking about, but snippets of their conversation somehow still leaked over. Couldn't do anything right at first, just sat around scrolling her phone. Left the club as soon as the club president finished training her. Scary white-haired guy and the artsy Asian kid. Bunch of weirdos. Very unoriginal. No wonder I couldn't remember their names. Osgood still isn't here yet. No reply from Ivy. Probably still sleeping. Oops. I reached the 23rd level and realized that if I want to progress, I have to cough up actual money. I closed the app in order to resist the temptation. There's still half the soda float left. I should try and finish it first before getting something else. The two girls are now chatting about the newest episode of Your Star Major. I don't know what that is. No reply. Probably still sleeping. Against my better judgment, I paid $2.99 to advance in the game. Unfortunately, after about 20 more minutes of gameplay, I reached another paywall. I decided to quit after that. The empty sucking sound coming from the end of my straw informed me that I finished my soda float. The slightly heavy feeling in my stomach dissuaded me from ordering anything else. The girls aren't talking about anything interesting. They really said no. Still no reply. Probably still sleeping. I scrolled through my social media feeds and mindlessly liked a bunch of pictures. Osgood is really taking a long time to show up. He didn't give me his number, so it's not like I could text him. He's not showing up. I'll wait for just a bit longer. After 20 minutes. After 50 minutes. After 2 hours. She's yawning. She's tired. She is very patient. She waited for him for like over 2 hours. Over 3 hours, actually. Hey. Hey. Sorry to bother you, but it's closing time. Honestly, that's true. If your date doesn't show up in an hour, I think that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. But yeah, she waited all the way until closing time. Guess he didn't show up after all. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for waking me up. And I honestly thought that that was the end of my relationship with Osgood, and I would eventually get over it. I will mope for a few weeks before forcing myself to take an interest in something else. Poster advertising a new club. A young new hire of the town gift shop who decided to take a gap year. Something. Someone. They probably won't be as exciting as Osgood, but it will have to do until something better comes by. At the very least, that was what was supposed to happen. The day after, I lay flat on my bed, heavy metal blasting through my headphones as I stared at the ceiling. Ivy left a few text messages earlier asking me how the date went, but I was not in the mood to answer her. Why bother with confiding in your only friend when you can stare into oblivion instead? I'll just ignore it. Someone is knocking on the door. Someone is knocking on the door, and I don't think we're going to be allowed to ignore it. I'm freaking coming. Camille is like so pissed. She's like, I'm freaking coming, stop knocking on my door already. Grunting with effort, I struggled up from the bed and lurched toward the door. The unfamiliar and slightly bewildered face that greeted me from the other side of the door only increased my irritation. Yes, how can I help you? Hi, you're Osgood's friend, aren't you? I'm from his chemistry class. Nice to meet you, Osgood's classmate from chemistry class. As you can see from the state of my hair and clothing, I'm really in no state to make small talk. What do you want? The girl winced and held up a notebook in self-defense. I found Osgood's notebook and thought you could help me return it to him. You two being friends and all. If this were a day ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity to get closer to Osgood. Oops. I am so sorry for the fan audio. I I turned it on and it was directed at the wrong place. Fan go brr indeed. But now I just want to shut the door and go back to bed. Why don't you return it to him yourself on Monday?
Didn't you know? We have Monday off this weekend. Anyways, I thought that as his friend, you would have a better chance of seeing him over the long weekend than I do. Sorry to bother you. I'll be going now.
She thrust the notebook into my arms and left in a hurry. Wait, I don't even know where he... And that was the door. She's gone. She's gone and she left this hot potato with us. And she's gone. Great. Fantastic. Muttering like a grumpy old man, I threw the notebook carelessly on the table and flopped back on my bed. Time to waste more time and forget all about what happened. 1 minute later, I gave in to my curiosity and grabbed the notebook off the table. It's just chemistry notes. It's all just chemistry notes. Feeling disappointed, I was about to toss it back when I noticed a label on the back. Property of Osgood McCabe. If found, please return to the following address: 3456 Remington Hill, OT 09 9056. After blowing me off like that, the least he could do is give me an explanation. We're fast approaching the part where we knock on the door. With a new purpose in mind, I sprung up from my bed and headed for my mirror. The day after, the developer who was responsible for the layout of this town was not very good at their job. Instead of placing each house on a single plane, they instead opted for placing every house in an upward spiral around the large hill situated in the center of our town. The larger and more expensive lots were placed at the top of the hill to overlook the more plebeian-priced lots at the bottom, in the metaphor of class stratification. What the developer neglected to take into consideration is that almost everything needed for everyday survival is located at the foot of the hill. So I really wouldn't want to live here. It sounds like it would be majorly inconvenient to live here. As a result, almost nobody lived here permanently. In the end, the rich opted to turn the fancy mansions on the top of the hill into summer homes, while the other lots languished. The town became some sort of zombie that wouldn't stay dead, intensely alive for a few months during the summer, while being deserted for the rest of the year. Realizing their error, the entire town decided to pool their resources into building a semi-decent school as a last-ditch attempt to attract more inhabitants. Unfortunately, aside from the family of a few teachers, all they got for their efforts are a handful of preteens and teenagers. "70% of the student body lived at the school, with myself included. But based on the address, Osgood was one of the rare people to actually reside in one of the mansions sitting atop of the hill. Unfortunately, this just means more work for me. The foundation melted off my face like paint, while sweat stained my nice dress. My toes wailed in protest against my shiny but uncomfortable shoes with each step I took. She probably wore like new shoes or something, and they're like pinching her. Because you don't wear new shoes and like not expect blisters and stuff. Unfortunately. As I slowly climbed the hills in my ridiculous get-up, the houses increased in size while decreasing in numbers. Trees enveloped me in a featureless blend of green that soared around me as the crickets shrieked. It's a miracle I managed to end up in front of Osgood's front porch without finding myself lost. And here we are. Here we are, at Osgood's front door, and we are going to attempt to get ending 9. Well, time to demand an explanation for my hurt feelings. We knock on the door. Once, knock twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. After God knows how long, I finally heard footsteps approaching the door. He's here. Osgood is here. Why are you here? I smiled sweetly at him and waved his chemistry book in his face. To bring this to you and to ask you why you didn't show up for our date. Silence. I know you think I'm annoying or ugly or whatever, but you at least owe me an explanation for why you blew me off. He just kind of stood there, so I stopped and waited patiently for a reply. Part of me expected him to just yank the chemistry book from my hand while slamming the door shut. It doesn't matter. I'll wear him down eventually. But to my surprise, He rubbed his face and opened the door wider. Come in. I feel my smile growing wider as I skipped after him into the house. He led me into the music room with a beautiful baby grand and left to bring refreshments. When he came back again, he was holding 2 bottles of water. This is very, very different from the first run, where some unknown person opened the door and he wasn't around and we snuck around. We snuck around his house in the first run, and that's how we thought we heard him killing someone. Well, we heard someone die, we just didn't know who killed the person. And now, this is completely different. He came, he opened the door, he invited us in. I apologize for the meager offerings, but I don't have any other guest-appropriate food or drinks to offer at the moment. It's okay. I'm not picky. Though I'm happy you offered me anything at all. I was pretty convinced that you hated me. I don't hate you. I just don't have time for you right now. Ah, so you tolerate me. I meant it as a half joke, but Osgood didn't say anything back. We lapsed into silence again. After a minute or so, Osgood walked over and sat next to me. He didn't look at me while rolling the water bottle absent-mindedly between his long fingers. Still, I was happy. He had never voluntarily approached me before. What are the odds that Osgood remembers? It's possible. Maybe. I don't know. First, I want to apologize for ditching you. It was a rude thing to do. I have been unwell. Maybe it's an alternate universe. That's true. Maybe it's an alternate universe. I just hope that this is a happy ending. I'm just praying for a happy ending. I blinked. He's sick? I didn't know. Are you feeling better now? Is there anything I can? My condition is chronic and incurable. Well, yeah. Not wrong to describe a chronic case of needing to eat human meat and being irreversible, because that's a thing, but damn. Which is one of the reasons why I can't date you. I'm too sick to do so. I stared at my water bottle, feeling like a very immature and self-centered child. He kept on speaking, rolling the water bottle between his hands, faster and faster. The second reason I can't date you has to do with my family. They have been missing for months, and I have recently decided to go and find them. I will be returning to school after the break. Did you call the police? I doubt that would help. Given their line of work, I don't think the police would act kindly toward them. His frankness dropped on me like an anvil. Suddenly, I realized that I didn't know Osgood at all. Wow, you really are telling me everything, aren't you? His eyes quickly darted toward my face before glancing away again. The water bottle stopped rolling. You aren't a very good listener, but I don't think you are completely unreasonable. If I had the maturity to explain all of this when you first started flirting with me, perhaps it would have saved the both of us time. I think Osgood might know, because he said if I had the maturity. And in the first run, he did not have this maturity. So it's entirely possible that this Osgood is the Osgood that, watched us die, that died for us. It is entirely possible. Because in the first run, like, where was this maturity? It wasn't here, and now he's mature? I apologize for not saying all of this until now. If he was telling the truth, then I am the most self-absorbed fool on the face of this earth. If he was lying, that I had gotten so repulsive that he would resort to such a fantastic tale to ward off his abhorrent admirer. Either way, I was ready to go back home and die of embarrassment. I got up so hastily that I almost knocked over the coffee table. I'd better get going. Sorry for the inconvenience. Good luck with your family. Stuff. The cringe. Feeling like a naked person at a cocktail party, I quickly rushed toward the door. Camille. I turned around, bewildered. This was the first time he called me by my name. His eyes were looking straight at me. Two pale eye shards set in marble, with an intensity that I had never seen before. You have hair like sunshine. And I don't think you're ugly at all. Oh God. He's trying to make me feel better about his rejection. Feeling more embarrassed than ever, I fled. True to his words, Osgood didn't show up after the long weekend. But by then, I had already gotten over him. Without any warning, Ivy decided to run away with her boyfriend. It's a bit hard to explain, but I'll tell you things in detail when I get back. But even when the semester ended and Ivy's parents went insane trying to find her, Ivy never returned. For a while, I joined Ivy's parents in their mission to find her daughter, plastering posters in Joseph's campus and making phone calls to people who never give a straight answer. As I tape up poster after poster, my gut tells me that she's never coming back. Then the world ended, and I forgot all about Ivy. Seven years after the war ended. It started out as a pretty good day. I had managed to scavenge something useful from the dump that is no man's land. An old smartphone from before the world ended. I think it might not be... We don't know what happened to Ivy, but I think Ivy is dead. Ivy might be dead. And somehow, somewhat, the apocalypse ended or something. Out of impulse, I had pressed the start button to see if it would turn on. It didn't, but I could still trade it for some rations. But then I overheard gossip about Damien deciding to lend me to some of his men as a reward. As if sleeping with him a couple of times for rations made me his. Unfortunately, Damien's men made up 50% of the settlement's fighting population, which made saying no to him pretty difficult. I had no interest in becoming public property, so I was forced to hit the road without going back to the settlement to restock on supplies. And here I am, wedged behind a rock, and hoping that the two parties fighting outside will completely destroy each other. I'm not sure how horror became the apocalypse, but if enough bandits are left alive, then I am screwed. If the abnormalities win, then I am even more screwed. A human head flies over the sky and lands beside my feet, its mouth still gaping as if it doesn't understand that it had died. I nudged it away with my feet and tried to make myself even smaller. The fact that abnormalities are mentioned makes me think that the monsters have started to fight back. Because we know that monsters exist. It makes me think that the monsters have decided to fight back against against whatever power is controlling them, probably the government. And now the world is embroiled in war. Because what else would you consider them? Joseph, Osgood's brothers, they are probably considered abnormalities. Silence. Is it over? I peeked out from behind a rock. Hacked remains of abnormalities stained the ground in red. To my dismay, there were at least still 10 bandits standing. Yo, look who's hiding over there! I'm so dead. Oh my god, is it really over? That was terrifying. Shut up, you little censor. You were the one who led us to this road. You knew that this place was infested with abnormalities. Yes, I did. A pity you scums proved more resilient than I thought. This was the fastest route, and I thought... You're sorry? Then why don't you show us how sorry you really are? Take off your clothes. Don't hit her face. Shut up, Lucas. Are you deaf, bitch? Take off your clothes. Or was it the shut up, Lucas? Weeping and trembling, I stood up shakily and started shrugging my arms out of my shirt. Before whipping out a gun and shooting him in the face, point blank. You bitch! You killed Lucas! This was it. This is how I'm going to die. Beaten to death by some thugs. What a miserable way to... There was the sound of crunching. There was the sound of crunching. And there is the sound of wind chimes. There is crunching and there is wind chimes. He's back. Osgood is back. I think Osgood is back. The first thing that hit me was the smell. It was sweet and fruity, like cotton candy with the hint of ripened fruit. Food that belonged to a bygone era and is now a concept. The bandit who was previously choking me is spurting blood from his severed neck. I pushed him off me, gasping and coughing while pulling my shirt down and trying to wipe off whatever is on my face. And then I saw it. The monstrosity stopped and turned its head toward me. There were no eyes in its empty sockets. The wind chimes were screaming now. It's you. It could speak. I froze in horror as it started lumbering toward me. But when it came close enough for me to smell it, my self-preservation instincts finally kicked in. I can be useful in other ways. The thing stopped. You eat humans, right? Well, I can help lure unsuspecting people to you. Why eat me when you could eat dozens of others instead? The abnormality started moving again, feeling like a door-to-door salesman trying to persuade the devil. I keep talking. There must be things you don't want to do, errands you don't want to run. I can take care of those for you. Or maybe you need a steady source of information. I can do that too. With enough time, I can make any guy tell me anything. I'm much more useful to you alive. Totally a waste if you just ate me. Okay. Before I could process what it said, the thing started melting. Bones and sinews folded within each other and dissolved into pink liquid, merging and shrinking like a bizarre backward stop animation until it formed the outline of a human skeleton. Muscles, tendons, skin, and flesh sprouted like vines, wrapping and twisting around the empty gaps of the skeleton. Seconds later, I found myself staring at a pale man. Long white hair flowed down his back like a waterfall, and muscles rippled across his torso in cords. I know, he's so verbal. He just said, okay. Like, bitch, couldn't you have given me more words? His clean body looked so out of place in the bloodbath. Is he even real? He ignored my bewilderment and started collecting the dead bandit's clothing that was still in one piece. By the time he was fully dressed, I was still sitting on the ground, trying to wrap my head around what just happened. He got an upgrade. Osgood looks hot now, holy shit. He sighed, crouched down, and curled a strand of my hair around his index finger. Your hair got shorter. Yes? It's still very pretty. Thanks. He nodded, let go of my hair, and reached for my hand instead. His fingers were long and brittle, like bone. He pulled me up and draped a dead man's cloak over me. It's been a while, but I am glad to see you again. Come here. Ending 9. Beauty and the Beast. We're done. We have reached the end of ITYH. And thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. It was it was fun. Definitely felt like screaming sometimes. Definitely did scream sometimes. But no matter the horror, it was fun. Very, very fun. And I think this is the end. That was endings 7 and 9 of ITYH. We have one bad ending, the canon ending, I suppose, and we have ending 9, the new ending. The one where the world goes to hell, and yet Osgood still comes back for us. It really was a wild ride. Didn't expect the author to just throw this bomb at us, but well, thank you very, very much. Thank you so very much for joining me, and I hope to bring another game soon. Maybe Lobotomy Corporation, maybe another game. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.